Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, just doing a quick video letting you guys know that I am going to be opening up my Patreon account again. And this is something that's been under consideration for quite some time. I was going to do it with GameWisp in like a sort of different way, but we're going to be moving away from GameWisp because I just couldn't visualize and execute on GameWisp the right way, and I know how to visualize and execute on Patreon. So this video is going to be about why my Patreon's returning after probably about 3 years, about 2.5 years, and why I stopped using it in the first place. So let's start with why I stopped using Patreon, because it was something that I actually had on my channel when it was brand new, when everyone was, you know, kind of clamoring to Final Fantasy XIV when A Realm Reborn was just about to launch, and then it had launched and I was streaming it. I had released the Patreon originally because I didn't have a Twitch sub button, so I was like, you know what, this is what I'll use as my alternative. And on top of that, there were just people who were saying, hey, why don't you even... I didn't even have a tip button back then. People had to convince me to add a little PayPal tip button. That was before like Twitch alerts and Streamlabs and Gaming for Good and all these other platforms were available. And sorry for the cars driving by. It's hot as hell in here, so the window's open. So, and I'm surprised. We're not on a very busy street, but there's a lot of cars going by. That being said, so I had it for those reasons, and I didn't really use it the way that was intended. I wasn't very good at using it the way it was intended, where you basically have incentives based on either how much people are pledging or how much is pledged total. So I had it for that reason. When I got my Twitch sub button, this is reason one, I essentially said, you know what, I don't want to have more than one revenue stream, because I have YouTube and Twitch at that point, and then I have a tip button. So I didn't want to have a Patreon. I just felt like it was too diversified. And that's, again, because I wasn't really able to use Patreon the way that it was intended. So I stopped encouraging it. I told people, you know what, I have what I have. I'd rather get a $5 sub from you than you go to my Patreon and pledge $20. Just something about it in my head, and it probably sounds stupid to you that I even thought that as somebody trying to earn a living out of this. And looking back, if I could tell myself 2 years ago that that was probably a dumb thing to do, as opposed to just using the platform better, yeah, I would probably tell myself that. The other reason was some issues I had with the way Patreon handled their systems. One was something that was totally not Patreon's fault. Somebody made a fraudulent pledge to the Patreon of $5,000, and I thought it was fraudulent. Like, I was like, there's no way somebody's pledging $5,000 to my Patreon. Like, first of all, pledging is monthly. Second of all, that's just too much money. There's no way at that point in my career I could never accept that somebody would value me at that. Even today, I wouldn't believe somebody values me, like a single individual being would show up and go like, here's $5,000. This is how much I appreciate your content. I was like, I'd be like, dude, honestly, I don't believe this is real at all, and I'm not going to touch this money because it's probably going to disappear. That would be my first reaction. And luckily, Patreon fixed it. They got the guy all of his money back. The guy contacted me personally. We had a bit of a conversation. He actually was someone who played Final Fantasy XIV. I don't know what the guy's status is now, but luckily he got every penny back. And I commend Patreon on actually having a kind of safeguard like that in place. Sure, I got excited because it was possible that $5,000 was going to be coming my way, but I wouldn't want that at the cost of some guy losing $5,000 that he didn't know he was losing. So I'm glad he got his money back. The other thing was I had a lot of pledges that were between values of like $80 and $150. I had one that was like $300. And I realized very quickly that at the time Patreon didn't have something in way. Someone could pledge $300 to you in a month, right? And they could totally not pay it out. The number that it shows pledged on Patreon at the time did not represent the amount of income that the person who had the Patreon was actually coming into. So it could say I was pledged $1,800 and I could realistically only get maybe $600 or $700. And you know what? It just felt like it was, because then I have a goal set for, let's say, $1,500, and that's met, but it's not what's actually reflected. So everything just felt off about it, and it just really turned me off between the fraudulent charge and the way that ended up working. And sorry if I'm checking my phone. I have a delivery coming, so I just want to make sure that I'm keeping my eye on the time. So those are the reasons why I stopped using my Patreon. Now let's talk about the reasons why I'm bringing it back. So the biggest reason why I'm bringing it back, and let me just be clear, I'm not in any sort of financial need. Like, this is not out of a, hey, I need more money, what can I do? It's the way you guys support the YouTube channel, the way my Twitch channel is supported, I'm comfortable. I'm not living a luxurious life, but I'm comfortable. And Patreon is not in any way supposed to push me to the next level. It's more of another appreciation platform, plus a platform that I believe I can use more correctly now in incentivizing people to support the channel, to encourage the channel's growth, as opposed to the stagnation, which I'll talk about here in a minute. So it's no surprise to you guys that Final Fantasy is like my big thing. It's the game I've grown up with. It's the game I've dedicated the most time to over the 25 years of living, almost 26 at this point. And I love it. That being said, it's not the only type of game that I want to play. And unfortunately, when it comes to dedicating time to YouTube and Twitch for games that aren't Final Fantasy, it comes with a high risk. Because when you do Twitch, when you do YouTube for a living, and you may have heard me talk about this on Mondays with Mr. Happy, there's always the concern that if I try to do something that's different, everyone who appreciated the content I had before immediately turns on me. And it's happened. I've taken 2 days to produce content on other things in the past, and it's just completely turned on me. Between the amount of people participating in the content, between the number of people questioning if I'm producing the content that they want anymore, and it's very stressful to constantly to spend 1 day playing No Man's Sky, having just played an entire week of Final Fantasy 14, single player Final Fantasies, and be asked constantly, so you quit Final Fantasy, so you're not doing Final Fantasy count up this, you're not doing that. And I know you guys are going to say, well, you know, those people are just super impatient with that, but it gets to you. You hear it enough times and it gets to you, and it almost pushes you back in the direction that was successful before, as opposed to trying to diversify. With Patreon, I'd like to believe that this is going to help diversify the channel, or at least allow me the breathing room to feel safe to diversify on the channel and produce content that's not strictly Final Fantasy 14. Yes, with the patch 3.4, with any patch, of course, if there's news, I'm going to report on it. That much is not going to stop. It's the comfort level of me maybe at, what is it, 8:15 p.m. at night, to be able to go, you know what, I want to, instead of recording, like trying to think, oh, what can I record that's Final Fantasy related? Should I record this? Should I record that? I can go, you know what, I got Bioshock. I was at 2K Studios. I made a video. I would love to play more Bioshock. It was really great when I played it. Let me start playing that and do some commentary over it. Or maybe I could show people where certain collectibles are or things like that. But you know what I end up thinking in my head is like, you know what, if I made this video, I put all this time into it, and it doesn't do well on the channel, then all of a sudden, I mean, imagine if you were a server at a restaurant and you're there 6 hours, not a single person walks in, and you don't get paid. You basically got paid, what, $2 an hour or some shit, because that's just the way it works. It would essentially feel the same way. And, you know, with wanting to build a life for me and for the person I love, I just need that feeling of comfort. And with this, I feel like I can not only offer more diversified content, I can offer some of the content that has disappeared from my channel just strictly due to the amount of time invested in it. I mean, Healer Happy videos, people loved them. And you know what? I actually still like making them, and I liked making them. I do feel like it's moved away from its purpose of teaching new players, but I do believe in it, and I do enjoy it. It's just a matter of time. It takes an hour to record. It takes 2-3 hours to render. It takes another hour and a half to upload. And in all that time, there's a question of how much I can get done, reasonably get done while all of that is happening. I have a little bit better of a working thing now. Mel upgraded her computer, and when she's not available to like home or anything, I can use it. But even then, it's a lot of time invested, and it's sometimes it's hard to feel comfortable. So I feel like with Patreon, I can utilize it more often. I can incentivize, be like, hey, you know, with this much, I could finally go back to feeling comfortable making Healer Happy. I could finally feel comfortable go back and make Best Jerry series. I could finally go back to making Happy Gaming News. The only thing that still kind of frightens me is the promise of like, hey, on this day, it'll be there every week. Because when 3.4 comes out, let's be real, am I going to seriously get Happy Gaming News out that week? I probably could, but it wouldn't be what I wanted to do, because I'm trying to produce all the content on, you know, the game that, you know, I still love and play, is, you know, whenever I have the opportunity, whenever there's not something else that's, you know, pulling me in a different direction. So that's the only thing that still kind of fears me now. As I've been recording this, I'm still working out what the exact rewards will be, but I just wanted to make a video about it, not just put it out there. I wanted to give you my honest thoughts, my honest opinions, and my honest feelings about what I want, what I want to accomplish, what I want us to do, what I want us to be able to move forward doing, and what I want to be able to offer to you guys. Because without, you know, I love telling the story of the way Mel and I, you know, came together, and how she really carried me to like making the channel as successful as it is. But I've been my own worst enemy and holding it back at the same time, out of just this fear that I have. And, you know, you guys have encouraged me to keep creating content that is within the boundaries of how the channel was created, and I really want to, I want to break out of only doing that. I want to do that, but I want to feel comfortable uploading other things. And I'm still coming up with ideas. I still want to be able to produce guides. I still want to be able to produce commentary. I still want to be able to produce news. And I think, honestly, that's the big thing. I think instead of doing Happy Gaming News, what I'll likely start doing is as soon as there's something I'm excited about, if it doesn't matter what game it is, I just got to say, you know what? I'm making a video. And I think that's the big thing. So that's my explanation on why I'm bringing the Patreon back. I want you to check out the rewards because, like I said, as of recording this video, I'm still not 100% sold on everything that I've set up there, and I'd still probably like to add more rewards, even if that. Thank you so much, everyone, for taking the time to actually listen to me ramble on about Patreon, about my history, about my future. And I hope that it's a future that we can share together and that we can continue to grow the channel with together. So I'm not going to say be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share, but I'll say it just to make fun of myself for saying it because it's almost habitual. I almost said it before and I caught myself. So thank you for watching. I'll see you on the channel, YouTube channel. I'll see you for patch 3.4. You'll be seeing plenty of guides out for that. And on top of that, you know, I'll see you on the Twitch live stream if you're able to stop by. But until then, everyone, thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and take care.